Why do so many older people seem to fade after 80, even those who were sharp, active, and full of life just a few years before? It's a quiet question many families whisper, often too late. We're told it's just aging, just genetics. But what if that's not the whole truth? In this video, we're going to uncover 5 unexpected reasons why most older adults struggle to live past 80. And these aren't the usual suspects like diet, smoking, or medication. These are subtle, emotional, deeply human factors. Things that slip under the radar but quietly wear the body down. If you've ever watched a parent or loved one gradually lose their vitality, or if you've felt it in yourself, you are not alone. The good news is, once you understand these hidden causes, you can take action, gently, mindfully, day by day. We'll talk about what happens when light fades, when movement stops, when purpose disappears. But we'll also talk about how to bring those things back, so stay with me. This may be the conversation that changes how you see aging forever. And if you find value in this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us keep creating content that truly matters. The first reason why many older people struggle to live past 80 begins in the smallest, quietest corners of life, those fleeting daily interactions that once seemed insignificant, but now carry a weight we rarely recognize until they're gone. It doesn't start with a major health crisis. It starts when someone stops greeting the mailman, no longer makes small talk with the grocery clerk, or stops nodding at the neighbor walking their dog. These are not deep relationships. They are what researchers call micro-social engagements. Tiny threads of human connection that hold the fabric of vitality together. When we lose these moments, we begin to unravel slowly, almost invisibly. Imagine 2 men. William, 82, still takes his morning walk to the same corner cafe each day. He waves at 3 regulars along the way and orders his coffee from the same barista who knows his name. He doesn't say much, but he is seen. He is acknowledged. His routine anchors him to the world around him. Then there's George, also 82. He began ordering groceries online after winter hit. He told his daughter it was easier, safer, and more efficient. Weeks turned to months, and soon he stopped going out entirely. No one waved to him. No one asked how his day was. And slowly his spark began to fade, not because his body gave up, but because his connection to the living world quietly loosened. This isn't just emotional. It's biological. Microsocial interactions regulate the nervous system. They lower cortisol. They send subtle signals to the brain that we are still part of the tribe, still relevant, still alive. But after 80, many older adults begin to remove themselves from these touch points, not out of choice but convenience. They stop walking because the sidewalk feels uneven. They avoid conversations because their hearing has dulled. They rely on others to run errands, not realizing that with every task passed off, they surrender a little more of their autonomy. What feels like simplifying life often turns into retreating from it. You may think a simple hello or a smile from a stranger doesn't matter, but for someone aging quietly behind closed doors, those gestures are life-affirming. The absence of them can trigger subtle loneliness, a kind that doesn't feel like sadness, but still disrupts memory, weakens immunity, and increases inflammation. The brain, in its ancient wisdom, interprets social invisibility as danger, and, over time, it begins to shut things down to conserve energy, as if preparing for the end. So ask yourself this: when was the last time you reached out, not to a close friend or family member, but to the people who make up the rhythm of your everyday world? The familiar stranger, the neighbor across the fence, the person who used to smile at you in line, are they still part of your life? Or have they disappeared one by one without you noticing? Reclaiming these small moments isn't about grand gestures. It could be as simple as walking to the mailbox yourself tomorrow, going to pick up your prescription in person, smiling first, speaking first. It's not just connection, it's survival. If you've stayed with me this far, comment 1 below so I know you've arrived here, and may your days be filled with small moments that make you feel seen. Now, let's move to something else that's just as invisible, but just as powerful: how fear, disguised as caution, slowly takes the body offline. The second reason why so many older adults struggle to live past 80 isn't about what they can't do, it's about what they stop doing out of fear. It often begins with a single event, a slip in the hallway, a stumble on wet pavement, a moment when balance falters, and suddenly everything feels fragile. What comes next isn't immediate weakness. It's a slow surrender, masked as caution. After that one moment, walking outside feels risky. Bending to pick something up becomes something to avoid. The stairs, once taken without a second thought, now seem like a threat. And without realizing it, movement begins to vanish from daily life, not because the body has failed, but because fear has quietly taken the wheel. I once knew a man named Arthur, 84, who lived alone but kept a neat routine. He walked to the mailbox every morning, did gentle stretches in the living room, and watered his plants every afternoon. Then one day, he slipped while reaching for a book on a low shelf. He wasn't seriously hurt, just shaken. His daughter, concerned, told him to take it easy. So he did. He stopped reaching, then stopped stretching. Then the walks became rare. Within 6 months, Arthur's once stable posture bent inward, his steps grew shorter, and his legs lost their tone. Not because of the fall, but because of the stillness that followed. The human body isn't a machine that lasts longer when rested. It's more like a living field. It thrives when tended. The very muscles that keep us upright, especially the core, weaken rapidly when unused. Balance fades, stability disappears. And ironically, the more we try to protect ourselves by not moving, the more vulnerable we become to the very things we fear. It's a cruel paradox. The fear of falling eventually makes falling more likely. This pattern is often reinforced by well-meaning advice. Don't overdo it. Just rest today. You don't need to go out in this weather. Safety becomes a reason to retreat. And while there's wisdom in caution, there's danger in overprotection. Because when the body no longer moves, the mind starts to drift too. Routine fades, engagement dims, life shrinks. So the question becomes, are you avoiding movement because it's truly unsafe or because it makes you uncomfortable? Have you created a life where safety has become stillness? Could your legs be stronger if you took even 5 more steps today than yesterday? Could your balance return if you tried to stand a little longer? Movement at its core is not just physical, it's a signal to the entire body that you are still here, still capable, still needed. If this reflection resonates with you or reminds you of someone you love, comment 2 below to let me know you're still with me. And wherever you are in your journey, may your steps, no matter how small, carry you forward with strength and intention. Next, let's explore something even more subtle than fear, how light, or the lack of it, quietly unravels your body's inner rhythm. The third reason why many people quietly decline after 80 is something they rarely see coming, because it has to do with something they can't see at all. It's not a medical diagnosis, not a traumatic event. It's light, or more precisely, the loss of natural light and the quiet invasion of artificial light. Our bodies are governed by a biological clock, the circadian rhythm, that controls everything from energy levels and sleep quality to immune strength and even cognitive clarity. But this rhythm depends on one powerful cue: light. And after 80, the body's sensitivity to light increases, while its exposure to real sunlight often decreases. The result? Sleep becomes shallow, memory fades, mood fluctuates, and the body begins to feel off, without knowing exactly why. Take Eleanor, 85. A once vibrant woman who volunteered at her local library, she gradually started feeling more tired, more forgetful, less herself. Her tests came back normal. Her diet was unchanged. But something felt different. What had changed, subtly but significantly, was her daily light exposure. Winter came, and she stopped going outside. Her blinds stayed closed most mornings. She watched TV late into the night and kept the hallway lights on until past midnight. Without realizing it, her body's internal rhythm had become misaligned. She was awake when she should have been asleep, groggy when she should have been alert, and the spiral continued. When her doctor suggested she sit by her window in the morning and turn off screens an hour before bed, she followed it with skepticism. But within 2 weeks her sleep deepened, her focus returned, and the haze that once clouded her thoughts began to lift, not because of medication, but because of morning light and nighttime calm. The body doesn't just age from wear and tear, it ages when its systems fall out of sync, and few systems are more delicate, more foundational than sleep. Without enough bright light in the morning, the brain doesn't get the signal to activate. Without enough darkness in the evening, it doesn't produce the melatonin needed for deep, healing sleep. What feels like just tiredness is often a physiological disorientation, the body lost in its own time zone. Add to that the decline in natural vitamin D synthesis after 80, and the picture becomes clearer. Sunlight is not just warmth, it's an instruction. It tells the body how to function, when to rest, and how to heal. So if your days have started blending together, if you're sleeping longer but waking up feeling tired, ask yourself, when was the last time your skin felt sunlight before noon? How often do you let the glow of screens replace the fading light of evening? Could the answers you're looking for be waiting just outside your front door in a few minutes of morning stillness? If this reflection speaks to your experience or someone you know, comment 3 below so I know you've arrived here. And may your mornings always find you bathed in quiet, healing light. Let's now explore something deeper still. How unspoken sorrow can take root in the body, even when the mind insists it's moved on. The fourth reason why many older people quietly fade after 80 is not something you can see on a medical chart, nor measure with a device. It's emotional weight. The kind that hides behind smiles, behind quiet nods, behind the phrase, "I'm fine." This type of weight doesn't announce itself. It settles quietly over the years, over losses, and over long nights when no one is around to listen. By the time someone reaches 80, they've often lost more than most people will ever have to imagine: a spouse, a sibling, a best friend, even a child. And while the world offers polite condolences, it rarely invites that grief to stay. It expects silence, strength, stoicism. But the body knows better, because what isn't expressed is never truly gone. It settles into the nervous system, into sleep patterns, into hormones. It wears down the immune system and takes the shine out of the eyes long before the heart actually stops. I remember George, a neighbor of mine, who lost his wife of 62 years. At the funeral, he shook every hand, thanked every guest, and kept a straight back the entire time. "I've lived a long life," he said. "I'm all right." But after the guests left and the casseroles stopped coming, George stopped showing up at the community garden. He stopped going to the senior center on Thursdays. His weight dropped, and so did the warmth in his voice, not because he lacked support, but because he didn't feel entitled to his pain. He thought it was time to move on, even if he never had a chance to sit with the ache. There's a silent kind of damage that comes from emotional suppression. It doesn't explode like anger or sob like grief. It sits beneath the surface, tightens the shoulders, shortens the breath, dims the memory. And over time, it convinces the body that it no longer needs to fight to stay present. We age not just because time passes, but because we stop feeling fully alive. The body, when it stops receiving signals of emotional truth, begins to shut down gently, as if bracing for a quiet departure. But there is a way to reverse this, not with pills, not with forced positivity, but with gentle permission, to say it out loud, to write it in a journal, to tell someone trusted, "I miss her," or "I feel empty," or even just, "I'm still hurting." That's not weakness. That's vitality returning. That's a signal to the body that you are still here and still deserve to be whole. So ask yourself gently, what sorrow have I been carrying without words? Who have I lost that I never truly grieved? And what would happen if I let that pain speak, not to break me, but to free me? If this reflection touches something in you, comment 4 below to let me know you're still here. And may your heart always have the space to feel what it needs to heal. Next, we'll explore one of the most overlooked forces that keeps people alive. Not medicine, not money, but something far simpler: purpose. The last reason many older people struggle to live beyond 80 isn't about illness, injury, or even emotional pain. It's about something far more silent, the gradual fading of daily purpose. Not a life purpose in some grand philosophical way, but the kind that gives a day shape. A reason to get out of bed, a reason to move, to reach, to look forward. Without it, the body listens, and it begins to withdraw, not out of weakness, but because it no longer receives the signal that it is needed. A mind that doesn't feel useful will eventually quiet down. A body without something to serve will begin to conserve, and that conversation, when extended too long, becomes decay. Let me tell you about Ruth, who was 88 when I met her. She wasn't wealthy. She lived alone. Her knees weren't great, but she had a routine that made her shine. Every Monday she wrote postcards to elderly neighbors who couldn't leave their homes. Every Thursday she cooked soup in large batches and froze it for the shelter down the street. And every day at 4 p.m. she sat by her window, waved to the school children walking home, and called them by name. To most it looked like nothing. To her body it was everything. It gave her a rhythm. It told her that she was still connected. And her health reflected that. The glow in her eyes, the steadiness in her voice, the calm in her breath. Compare that to Martin, also 88, who used to teach woodworking but retired with the hope of resting more. The classes stopped. The visitors dwindled. The tools in his shed gathered dust. "I guess I'm just done," he once said. And slowly so was his appetite. His sleep grew shallow, his memory blurred, not from illness, but from idleness. His body, without instruction or stimulation, began to slow in ways no medication could reverse. This isn't about staying busy. It's about staying meaningful. Purpose isn't always big or loud. It can be quiet, personal, unnoticed by the world but deeply felt by the soul, feeding a cat that waits at your door, sending a weekly email to a grandchild, tending to a small garden, even preparing your morning tea with intention. These are not hobbies, they are lifelines. They give your cells a reason to repair. They give your brain a reason to stay sharp. They tell your heart it still matters. So ask yourself, what gives your day structure right now? What would happen if that one thing disappeared? Is there something small, steady, sacred that could return or begin today? You don't need to rebuild your old life. You just need one ritual that reminds you this day still belongs to you. If these words resonate with where you are or where someone you love might be, comment 5 below to let me know you're here. And wherever you find yourself today, may purpose find you too in even the smallest of ways. Now let's bring everything together in one final reflection, a closing that weaves all 5 truths into a deeper message about staying fully alive. Conclusion. Growing. Old does not mean fading away. But far too often, what shortens life after 80 isn't just disease, it's disconnection. It's the quiet loss of movement, purpose, light, expression, and belonging. These 5 unexpected reasons, though subtle, can quietly take root in a person's daily rhythm and slowly shorten both years and vitality. The good news is that it's never too late to begin again, gently and gradually. A short walk to the corner, a conversation with someone new, a few minutes of morning light, a small act of service. These things may seem simple, but they tell the body you are still needed, you still matter. So if you've been feeling tired more often, or if someone you love seems to be withdrawing from life, look closer. It may not be aging, it may be the body responding to a lack of rhythm, connection, or meaning. Bring those things back, softly, with care. If this video touched your heart, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and comment the number 1 below to let us know you're here. May your days be peaceful, your spirit resilient, and your time ahead full of quiet strength, healing light, and purpose that keeps you truly alive.